It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission really is to provide you, the hardworking entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. In this episode, we have the one and only Michele Satchell. She's in the building, and she'll be talking about fight for your life. She's got 3 keys to victory. We'll figure out what all that means in a moment. But what's going on, Michele? How are you?
I am amazing, amazing. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you to viewers for tuning in, by the way. You have a lot of choices out there, and you choose to spend this time with us. So thank you so much. We appreciate that. Before we get started, they're going to read below, and they'll get to your bio and all that cool stuff shortly. And they're going to see Fight for Your Life. But I'm just curious, a philosophical answer, because I love what you stand for, which is evolve and become the best version of you. And my question is, first is, why do people struggle these days to just being the best version of themselves? It seems like it's easier than ever in my 57 years on the planet to be able to do that. Yet people are still struggling. Why is that the case, do you think?
I think, and this is even based upon the clients that I talk to, I think it's our mindset. It's the stuff that we have going on right here that gets in our way. We get in our way, and we put limitations on ourselves sometimes that prevent us from going to our next level. And so that's why I'm excited to be here today to just talk to you about the fight for your life.
I love it. What do you say to the person who's watching now? And these are very challenging times we're living in. No matter what your beliefs are, ladies and gentlemen, you might say these are uncertain times. The person who's watching now saying, yeah, what would you say, Shay? I've recently been laid off. Shay, I've recently gone through a divorce. Now, this is not a counseling session, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you might be curious. Shay, I've been hit with a punch I never saw coming. I'm going through something right now. I know we're going to get into Fight for Your Life, and I know we're going to get to her background. But what would you say to me? Because I've been struggling a little bit with changing my mindset or having a consistent mindset in the direction I should be. Again, a very loaded question, I know, but we got the right person, ladies and gentlemen, that can answer. So the question, person's going through something right now, what would you say to them?
Well, that's a good question, number one. But I think back even for myself, going through some of the toughest times. And I think one of the first things we need to do is just be honest with ourselves. Like, what is it that you're feeling? What is working for you? What isn't working for you? And what is it that you really, really want? Sometimes we go through struggles and tough times, and those struggles, the pain, the tough times points us in a direction that we need to go into. It points us in a totally different direction. We may find our purpose, we may find something that we're better at doing during those times that we wouldn't have done. So I like to remind people is just to assess where you are, but also think about being really and truly honest with yourself about what you want at this stage of your life, wherever you are. What is it that you really, really want? And then we can begin to start mapping that out in terms of how to get there.
We'll get into your backstory in a few moments here. Fight for Your Life. Why that title? What does it mean? So for you tuning in right now, you can lean in now. What does it mean? Yeah, why that title? Why that conversation now? And what does it even mean these days?
So for me, fight for your life, I know what it means to have to fight for it. I know what it means to have to fight, not just for your life, but to get your joy back, your happiness back, to have a purpose, to have that legacy. And so, if I could I take you back a moment in my life?
Yes. This is a good time to tell about your backstory. I know y'all all curious. What's the origin story? I know y'all all curious right now.
So, if I take you back just a few years ago, this smile that you see, I had lost it. The happiness that I have right now, the joy, even just where I am, I had lost it all and almost lost my life going through burnout. I was at the height of my career. I was doing very well. I was successful with a six-figure income, had a great job. And from the outside, everything looked wonderful. But inside, I was miserable. I was stressed out. I was exhausted. I was anxious. I was empty on the inside. And I found myself lying in the hospital one day in January of 2019, and I was struggling, like literally struggling just to make it. And I remember laying there in that bed wondering, how in the world did I get there? Like, how did I end up laying on that bed struggling just to just to survive? I felt like I was literally losing my mind. um, I was dealing with issues with my heart. I had brain fog. I couldn't think clearly. I had pain all throughout my body, and it was a struggle every single day. And when I think back to that time, I had lost my joy, my happiness. And I remember shortly after that, my husband gave me the wake up call, honestly, because he told me I was literally working myself to death. And he was preparing himself to be alone because he could see me spiraling down. And he said, it's just a matter of time. You're not going to be here because number one, I was neglecting myself. I had put the job and everything else ahead of me and the things that I valued and what was important to me. And so I couldn't sleep when he said that to me. It like shook me. And that's when I decided to fight for my life, like literally fight for my life. And so, what that meant for me is I had to start changing my thinking. I had to take control of how I was thinking, and I had to start thinking about a better future for myself. I had to change the self talk that I had going on in my head. You know, sometimes we say things to ourselves that we wouldn't even say to our best friends or our worst enemy. And then we judge ourselves, we criticize ourselves, we put ourselves down. And I had to start putting myself first, like putting me at the front of the line or at the top of the list instead of being at the bottom or nowhere on the list. And so, in that process, and I would say because we are in mental health month, let me just mention that I had to recognize that I needed some help. I couldn't do it all by myself. I needed some help. And I reluctantly got a therapist, but it turned out to be the best thing I never knew I needed. The therapist really helped me to process some things and getting to the bottom of it. I realized some of what I was dealing with also came from some challenges that I had in my younger years growing up. Okay. And so I got a coach, and my coach was able to help me, pave that path forward for myself, put a plan together. And as a result of prayer, I got to mention, it was a lot of prayer, a lot of grace, and a lot of that internal work, doing the work on the inside that allowed me to be here standing before you today, talking to you about this.
Yeah, very serious, serious conversation, and you're so authentic when you share it. By the way, as we're listening, you talked about that you were fearful, you went reluctantly, but you still went and got some outside help. And what would you say to the person who says, "Wow, she did do it"? What was that deciding factor that led her to doing it? Because in my little small world, not anybody watching, my little small world, you just go to your faith-based church or community and you've talked to the minister there, and everything should be fine, right? They say a few prayers and listen to you, and things are fine. And so going to the outside, this in my little world is, I wasn't raised that way. I'll say it like that. It's like taboo. But so the person watching, it's like, I've been thinking about it. And what was one of the deciding factors that led her down that path to really say, I'm going to do it?
I'm so glad you asked that question, and I'm so glad you said what you said because I wasn't raised that way. I literally just remember just being strong. You just push through it. But I also remember that I went to my pastor as well, the first lady at my church, who's also a pastor. And I just was telling her about what I was struggling with. And I remember her saying that it could stem from something in my past, okay, and that I might need help. But I also remember I was talking my husband's ears off. And I can remember him one day saying to me that, Michelle, have you thought about getting some help? And he said it in such a way, a loving way, that he said, I've talked to you every day and I've done all that I can do, but I don't have the skills. Like, I don't have what I need to help you through that. So it was like some encouragement also to just get the help. And I tell you, I was very reluctant, but after that first visit, and I realized the power of it, then I was okay with it. And at first, I thought people are going to think I'm crazy. But I was okay with it because you know what I learned in the process is it's not a weakness. See, I thought it was a weakness to go saying I'm not that strong woman. We always talk about the strong Black woman, right? But it wasn't about that. I was strong because I went. I was able to bounce back because I got the help that I needed. And it provided a safe space. It was no judgment. I could talk freely and openly about what I was struggling with. And I didn't have to worry about what people were going to say or think or it coming back to me some other way. It gave me that space that I needed to work through some of the challenges that I had. And I believe I'm better for it. I'm better for that experience. That's why I say it's the best thing I never knew I needed.
Love it, by the way. And now's, I think, a perfect segue to find out what are those three keys to victory. I mean, if you say, hey, here's the key number one. Ladies and gentlemen, it's rare I say you might want to get your paper and pencil out, right? But this is one of those times you're not going to say you're in a classroom, but you only need one idea to change your life. Like, how many ideas do you really need to change your life? You just need one good idea, and it could just shift your entire life. So she has three keys that allow you to have victory. You got to fight, but you have victory. So what are those three keys? Please share.
So the first key, it comes back to mindset, right? That was one of the things I mentioned already in terms of what's going on in the 6 inches right here between your ears and our thinking. And so we have to learn how to focus on the positives more in our lives and focus on the possibilities. If you think about this, I don't know if you know this, but most of our thoughts, they're automatic and most of them are negative. And most of them, about 95% of them, are repetitive. So if you think about the fact that it's mostly negative, mostly repetitive, that means the same thing you thought about yesterday is what you're thinking today, or last week, or last month. And so our job is to shift the way we're thinking. We have to take charge of how we think and don't just think about any old thing and let anything just roam in our head. We have to nurture it. So we have to do things to change our thinking and to maintain thoughts that are empowering us, that are lifting us up. And it's not to mean that you won't ever have a day where you're having some, your thinking is off or that you won't even have a bad day. But what it will do for you is you won't stay there very long. You won't stay there as long as you had in the past if you were not doing anything. But because when you learn how to shift your thinking, and number one is the morning routine. Like my morning routine when I get up in the morning, number one is I'm grateful, I'm thankful. But I go through my morning routine of my morning devotions, and I usually post the morning devotion online for everyone to see. It has music with it, and why does it have music? Music has been therapy to me in my journey. It gives me joy, it energizes me, it uplifts me. And I have songs that are my anthems just to get me going in the day. So I have my scripture, I have my devotion, I have my prayer time, I have the next piece I'm going to talk to you about shortly is affirmations. And then I revisit my vision for my life. I think about what it is I want to create. I think about the person I'm becoming. I remind myself of that. And so that leads me into the second key to your victory is your self-talk, reprogramming how we talk to ourselves. We are sometimes our worst enemy. by how we speak to ourselves. And we're with us everywhere we go. We can't escape us, right? You can say, oh, I need a vacation. You're gonna maybe you go to Hawaii, maybe you go to Rome, maybe you go to Italy, wherever you go, but guess what? You go along with you. And so if you're still talking the same way to yourself while you're on that trip, you're going to be on a trip, right? So we have to change the way we talk to ourselves. We have to be our biggest cheerleader ourselves and use affirmations, I say, to anchor ourselves and let it get down in your down in your DNA, down in your whole body, your whole being, reminding yourself of who you are and whose you are and what you are becoming, the vision that you have for your life. And so I anchor myself with affirmations, reminding myself that I'm powerful, that I'm brilliant, that I am unique, one of a kind, that I'm a masterpiece, that I'm well able to handle anything that comes my way, that I am capable. My own personal affirmation that I've had for years, but it has evolved over time, is I'm a woman on a mission, running with a vision, committed to changing the lives of those willing to make a decision, making a difference and adding value too. Can I imagine such? Of course I can. I got the master's touch. I'm leading by example. Come follow me. Take on the challenge and control your destiny. Raise your hopes, expand your dreams, increase your belief level, and claim your victory. The sky is the limit and we can have it all. I'm that speaker, coach, and trainer and author. I am Michele Satchell. And so I look myself in the mirror and I say that to myself. Do you know how good that makes me feel after I say that and remind myself of what I'm doing, the mission that I'm on to change lives, to transform lives? And what I encourage my clients and the people I talk to, let me tell you, anyone that gets in my space, they're going to hear from me. I remind them to talk to themselves, to encourage themselves, to speak life over their life, and to line up what you're saying with what it is you want to see in your life. Don't speak words that don't line up with the vision that you have for your life. If you don't want to see it come to pass in your life, don't say it, don't speak it. Easier said than done, I know, but that's why we have to check ourselves. So check yourself when you notice that language that is negative. It's like, uh-oh, nope, nope. Like you got to catch it, you got to challenge it. Like, why are you saying that? And then you got to flip the script. You got to change it around. And then you remind yourself of who you are and what it is that you're doing to change your life. And the third thing, the biggest thing that I learned on this journey is you got to take care of you, your mind, your body, and soul. You can't win the fight if you don't take care of the fighter, right? You can't win this fight if you're not taking care of you. And what I had done back then is I had neglected me. I had stopped doing the things that I enjoy. I wasn't like sleep was almost like a luxury. I couldn't sleep most of the time because of the stress and anxiety, but I felt like I had so much to do. Like we're so busy being busy, and then we don't take the time to just relax and get quiet because sometimes you have to do that. We don't take the time to replenish ourselves, to renew ourselves, to pour into ourselves. And that's not just manicures and pedicures, right? These are things we even do for what we're putting in our body food wise, what we're reading, what we're listening to, who we're surrounding ourselves with. Like all of those play a role into who you are. So nurturing you. Like if there's certain foods that cause you to be zapped the rest of the day, avoid those, right? There's some foods that take your energy, but there are other things you can eat that give you a little bit more energy. Like for me, I can recognize when coffee is too much, when I've had my like too many, but I also can notice when I haven't drank enough water. That's why you see me with this water today. Like the energy that you even get from giving your body the water, from just moving your body. Like I'll do things like you'll catch me dancing throughout the day or listen to music that pumps me up. Or it might be I just go take a walk because I realize I need that walk. I need some time to think quietly. I need to be out in nature. And so I learned to take care of me better. And I learned that it's not bad to do it. Before I didn't do that. And so, in order to fight this fight, you've got to take care of you. You've got to put you first.
Put you first and not everybody else. Three keys to victory. I mean, you laid it out. And I'm curious, you talked about self-care. A lot of it has to do with taking care of yourself and make sure you're complete first. I always like, you had me at becoming the best version of you, by the way. I know we're talking about fight for your life. I was like, man, if we can get there, that's just amazing. My question for someone listening, because the audience, I may have mentioned that a number of them are dualpreneurs, work a full-time job,
Mm-hmm.
full-time entrepreneur. And where I'm going to is how do they take care of themselves without feeling guilty, right? So someone is raising their hand and saying, well, I'm responsible for my husband. I'm responsible for my wife. I have responsibility to a significant other. I'm in a relationship. Someone else saying I have kids. I want her to know that my kids have a schedule. She should know that. So I got to take care of my kids and their schedule. Someone else is saying I have a full-time job and I'm doing this full-time, or I'm involved in my community or involved in their church. Somebody's going back to school. So they're like, wait a minute. I'm a caregiver. Some of you might be caregivers like Shay Brown. They might be wondering, and I'm wondering, how do you take care of yourself without feeling guilty? Are you able to do that? And if so, what do you recommend so you don't feel guilty? Like, man, I feel like I should be doing something for someone else right now.
And so, first, I want to say that I understand where they are because I've been in both avenues, right? There was a time when I was working, but I also was doing a little side uh, hustle on the side while I was working full time. I have uh, grown children now, but when I was doing that, they were younger. I was working, I was growing my career. So I was married, had kids, working a full time job, having something that I did in the evenings. But what I also have done is now I'm no longer in that job. I'm doing the speaking, coaching, and training full time and pursuing my calling. But either way, number one, we have to shift how we even think about the self care because it's not an optional thing, is what I've learned. It is a priority. It's just like you put on your calendar to go to the dentist or a doctor's appointment, like you've got to schedule some time for you because we can't be any good to anyone else if we're not healthy, if we're not full and we're not complete. And we're just running on empty trying to do everything. We're better when we can take care of ourselves. And so I would say taking some time to sit down and number one, have a schedule, plan it for the week. Plan out all the things that you have to do on this calendar, but also on that calendar, schedule your time for you. It doesn't mean that it has to be something radical, but it needs to be something that helps you be full to renew yourself and be complete. For me, it might look differently than for you, but for me, my quiet time is part of my self-care. My time for my devotionals in the morning, my scripture, the affirmations, the walks, those are things that I need for me. And so I make sure that I can squeeze those in. It may just be squeezing 10 or 15 minutes in your day just for you to regroup. But what is it that works for you? Maybe it's cooking your favorite meal that you like to cook or doing something fun that you enjoy doing. For me, back then it was yoga. And I know sometimes people feel some kind of way about yoga, but yoga allowed me to get centered with me, to get comfortable with being quiet with me. So the yoga, meditation, I was doing gospel flow yoga at the time, but meditation, even though the word tells us to meditate on the word day and night, right? Then you'll make your way prosperous. So I could meditate on scripture. I'm a person of faith, so I say that, but it may be something different for someone else. Just find little ways to squeeze in some time. What I would say is take a moment to think about where you're wasting some time because we get distracted nowadays with our phones, with Netflix, with social media. There's a lot out here that we can get distracted with. And studies even show that people are spending hours a day on social media. So, what if you just carved out a little bit of that time and instead of getting on social media or instead of getting on Netflix or instead of doing some of the things that aren't really benefiting you, what if you made that a piece of the time that you give back to you, that you give back to love on you, to take care of you so that you could show up as the best version of you.
The best version of you. That's how you fight for your victory. After you fight, you got to fight and move on. That's the first step. Like you said, you have those three keys of victory. Now it's like, okay, now that I fought the fight, how to be the best version I possibly can be given the circumstance I'm under right now. I love what you're doing. This is amazing. You know, one of my favorite questions to ask when we have time, we have a few minutes now, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I like to frame it for the audience so they're clear that you've had lots of mentors along this journey of life. You've read more books than you can probably remember these days. I know I can't. Video training and YouTube. I mean, 10,000 hours, what a joke. That was a good idea a book ago, but I do that scrolling with my thumb now, I'm sure. So my question is, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given from any mentor, any place, and why is it so near and dear to your heart?
Wow. I'm going to go back to my 20s. One of my first mentors.
Just yesterday. What do you mean go back? That was just yesterday. We know you're only 21 over there. You ain't gotta try to pretend now, you know.
Thank you. But you know what? One of my first mentors, it was always, she said, what you think about, you bring about. Like, it sticks with me to this day. What you think about, you bring about. And so think about that, because I've been talking about mindset and our thoughts, but we shape our future. We are where we are today because of how we think. And back then it was new to me, right? It was new to me hearing that. You're looking at a country girl from West Virginia, okay? I grew up in the country, West Virginia. I watched my grandparents struggle. I watched my mom struggle. All I knew is I wanted a better life. And I knew, partly as I was told, education was the key. Go to school, get a good job, you know, go out here and build this career and then retire. But when I met this person and they told me what you think about, you bring about, and the focus was on changing your thoughts, focusing more on the positives with the and having a good attitude, that carried with me to this day. And it has helped me get to where I am today. It has helped me get here. And so I would say that was a big one for me.
I like it. All comes back to your mindset. How true is that? What do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days? You seem to be having a lot of fun. You seem to really enjoy it. You got a big smile on your face, by the way. And before we got together, ladies and gentlemen, you know, the power and everything was out in her house. I mean, we didn't know we were going to have this. This is a true story. I can't make these stories up, by the way. We were behind the scenes, and she's like, the power is back just in time for this. So I'm incredible. But what do you enjoy about what you're doing these days?
You know, what I enjoy the most is just being able to impact lives. When I get messages that tell me my life is unrecognizable, I get text messages telling me, thank you, Michelle, my life is unrecognizable right now. That that's everything for me, because I know what it's like to want to need to fight for the life, but also know what it's like to want to get to the other side and what it feels like to get to the other side. And so when I get those messages, or like just yesterday, I got a message where someone told me, thank you for what you said to me. It changed my life. It helped me to just shift how I think about things. And so when I get those type of messages, that's how I know that, hey, I'm making a difference. I'm helping someone change their lives. And that's what it's all about. To me, yes, success is great, but this is my legacy, to make a difference, to make an impact, to inspire someone to be the best version of themselves and let them know that it's possible no matter where they are. It doesn't matter what you're going through right now. You could be going through the toughest time of your life, just like I was a few years ago, where the burnout almost took me out, but you can come through it. Not only can you, but you will. You will. But it's going to require you to take some action, right? It's going to require you to do some work, but you can
Yeah.
do it. You know why I know? Because I've done it. You've done it. We've all, like, there are things that people, they have no idea the power of this right here. Our mindset. You can change your whole life. You can change your relationships. You can change your finances. You can change your jobs, your career, your business. You can change even your faith walk. You can change everything because everything really starts with the thought, a thought. And when we take control of our thinking, we change our lives. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean you won't ever have any challenges. It doesn't mean that, there won't be tough times, but I guarantee you it will be better. It'll be better because of how you're thinking about it, and how the attitude that you take in the midst of it. It will be better. And with techniques and strategies to be able to overcome the thinking, the negative self-talk, so that you can empower yourself, you change your whole entire life. I never thought I would be living the life I'm living right now. I never thought it. I never thought I was going to be able to walk away from that six-figure job. But I did. I was thinking, am I going to be this way the rest of my life back then? But I'm not. I got my joy. I got peace. And I'm making a difference for other people. So it was bigger than me, is what I like to say. What I went through wasn't just for me. It was for somebody else. Because Jay, I remember when I said to God, like, when I get out of this, God, I will help somebody else who's going through what I was going through back then. I will help someone else. And that's what I'm doing now. That's what I'm
Yeah.
doing, which back then I had no idea what it would look like. But that's what I remember saying to him, that I would help somebody else.
We certainly appreciate all the help you're doing for all of us that are out here. As we come down the home stretch, a two-part question. Number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days? That we'd like to know that. And number two, how can folks connect with you? Where should they go on the website? Where should they go on social media? Like, how can they connect with you and stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have right now?
If you're a person who is looking to transform your life from the inside out, not just by the material things out here, but to really change you, the person, from the inside out to be the best version of yourself, I can help you do that. I'm committed to helping you do that. So a lot of times I'm working with high achieving women in leadership, leaders and teams, and their organizations, to help them make some changes to up level how they're showing up. And so if you're a person who is ready to be transformed and to make changes so that you can show up and live the best life, live your best life, your version of what your best life looks like, a life that you love, you're my person. You're my person. If you're tired of struggling and staying and being stuck, and you're ready to break through and get to your next level, I'm the person that will be able to help you to transform your life. And it's not just something that I talk about, Jay. Like, I have lived this. I told you, I've been through the counseling and therapy and had a coach myself. And that's how I fell in love with coaching, having been coached myself. And so I know what that experience looks like, that journey looks like. But I also know what it's like to go from hitting rock bottom to deciding, you know what, I'm going to fight for my life. I'm going to take responsibility for my life. I'm going to fight and I'm going to win. So I'm going to help you win. I'm going to help you win this fight in your life and get to your next level. And if you're looking to follow me, my website is michelsatchell.com. That's one L in Michelle, two L's in Satchell, but michelsatchell.com. On Facebook, I'm michelsatchell.impacts. And on Instagram, I'm at Michele Satchell.
I love it. Let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I know you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. And you've given us the most precious resource you have, which is your time. So thank you so much. Can't wait to have you back again soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. Thank you for making us a choice, allowing us to stream into your home. Maybe we're on your big screen TV, or maybe we're on your mobile device, or maybe we're in your ears. However you're watching or tune in, we appreciate you. And I never get tired of reminding you, every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're doing really, really well, because some of you got the breakthrough. You're going to that next level. You've already fought. Now you're living your best life, or getting there, or evolving to get there. And others of you might have been hit with the punch. you never saw it coming. It's time to fight. I believe that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason, I believe your best is still yet to come. You haven't seen your best days yet. It's here and it's yet to come. With that being said, my name, by the way, is Shay Brown, host of the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Make it a great day, everyone. And we'll make some good things how we connect again next time. Peace. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. So long. So long, Michelle. Bye-bye.
So long.